The first two episodes of Hawkeye on Disney Plus were enjoyable. I enjoyed it a lot. It's definitely a slow burn for these first two episodes, but I enjoyed it. But before I get into more of my review of Hawkeye's first two episodes, please consider this your spoiler warning if you have not yet seen the first two episodes on Disney Plus. So you've been warned, so let's get on with the review. Now, there's not much to review in these first two episodes. I mean, I guess I could really try to break it down, but we're still trying to find out the premise. I've tried to stay away from any spoilerish things on Reddit or online. I like to be surprised, especially with the whole thing happening with Spider-Man and everybody's just trying to leak the whole thing already. And I'm like, man, we're just so close. Just wait. Like, everybody, just because of views, everybody wants to just spoil everything. I'm the first one. I'm going to ruin it for everybody else. So I try to stay away, even though it doesn't really take away from my experience, but I do like to be surprised. So anyway, so Disney or Marvel decided to make the choice to release two episodes, kind of like WandaVision. And I appreciated that, because if it would have been one episode only, everyone would have been talking just BS about Hawkeye. And I think when you put episode 1 and episode 2 together, it kind of gives you a good base, something, just a nice appetizer to get into Hawkeye. Because I'm assuming there's going to be a more spy-ish kind of a feel, because I mean, come on, it's Hawkeye. Hawkeye don't have no freaking powers. You know, we know he was Ronin, but it wasn't like he was, you know, had superpowers, or everybody makes fun of him for being one of the normies from the Avengers. Like, why is he even there? I mean, Saturday Night Live did a whole sketch which is pretty freaking funny about her in Black Widow, which in episode 1 it might as well been that, you know, that the because there were so many, you know, callbacks to Black Widow, especially with the Captain Rogers musical, which I thought was great. I know a lot of people are giving it a hard time as to like why. I'm like, why not? Now, what does bother me is that Tony was the one that did the ultimate sacrifice. Why is Cap the one that everyone is like basically worshiping? I mean, no matter if it's from the Eternals, no matter if it was obviously Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I mean, his, you know, if it's not a shield, it's something else. It's all centered around Cap. And I'm like, why Cap? If I remember correctly, it was Tony. Tony was the one that snapped. Tony was the one that did the ultimate sacrifice, but yet everyone's just like, you know, go hunting around Cap. So it kind of leads me to kind of speculate whether, you know, Tony or, you know, Robert Downey Jr. and Marvel had a fallout and like, screw him. Yeah, he did this ultimate sacrifice, but we're going to focus on Captain America. And I'm like, well, what the hell? I'm like, that seems to be, you know, a blatant disrespect for the one that made you guys what you guys are today. If there was no Iron Man, there would be no Marvel Studios. There would be no Endgame. We wouldn't have any of this stuff. So just to blatantly disrespect Robert Downey Jr. like this is kind of hard to swallow if that's the case. But episode 1 is basically like, you know, Hawkeye just dealing with him being famous, and, you know, he gets comped, which I thought that was kind of a retaliation, you know, clip for what happened in Falcon and the Winter Soldier. The fact that everyone was making a big old hoopty-haw about why it aren't the Avengers being paid. And they'd be like, Tony Stark should have paid everyone because he's a millionaire and, you know, he has so much money, even though he was literally, you know, built a compound and let them live there rent-free and stuff. So I think that when, you know, Hawkeye was in the restaurant with his family and they're like, oh no, we comp it. And he's like, no, let me pay. He goes, no, we you know, you saved the world. You saved our city, so it's free to kind of let us know, hey, you know, yeah, they might not be getting paid, but the job comes with perks. And it would be. I mean, no matter if you're a part of the Avengers, everyone knows you're famous. It comes with those extra perks. And I get that's why people had a hard time when, you know, Falcon got the loan decline, because come on, he's Falcon. You approve the loan no matter what his credit score or no matter what happened. He was one of the reasons he helped destroy Thanos. You know, to what level, that's, you know, to be debated, but I mean, come on. The whole world was watching. So Falcon is Falcon. So I thought that was a nice little thing that they added just to kind of, I guess, to show the other side of the coin. But episode 1 was basically like that, and then we find out Kate Bishop over here, comes, is an archer, and we, in true Marvel fashion, she gets in trouble. She like destroys this old clock in her campus and stuff, but we realized really early that she's really good with the bow. And a lot of Hawkeye's kids are in this movie, which I think it was good. Even the Russell brothers, or one of the Russell brothers' daughters, is here. The one that we saw when he was showing her archery in Endgame, in the beginning of Endgame, she like disappears. She's playing the same characters. A lot of the same kids are playing the characters. Except for one of the sons is huge now. I'm like, Jesus Christ, how he grew up fast. God, what a difference 3 or 4 year makes, right? In kids' development. They could be small, but then all of a sudden they're like a grown ass whole dude. And even his wife is still Lara, the same actress is back in this. So I love that continuity that only Marvel knows how to bring. And just basically a nice setup, getting introduced to the characters again. And then episode 2, we start getting this build up. Kate comes up on Rogan's while she's there, because her mom is marrying this new husband, and he's like an antiques buyer and stuff like that. And there's like this auction that they're gonna auction off, like that we see like a triceratops, I think, head, and they're auctioning that off and stuff. And then we find out that Ronan's sword is there, the retractable sword. And I was like, when the hell did we find out that it was retractable? But okay, whatever. So it's retractable, and then so someone bids on that one. I think Swordsman is his name, or at least the character played by Tony Dalton. And his grandfather ends up the bid, and I think in the show is Armin, played by Simmons Callow, and he ends up winning. And then we find out that they're also bidding off Ronan's, or Hawkeye's Ronin outfit, his suit basically. And there's like these robbers that go in there, and Haley comes up on the Ronin outfit and she wears it, which then led me to believe, really, is Clint that small, like that tiny, that she could that Haley could just put that on and she fits perfectly. And it looks so different, which is one of my critiques about this whole thing, or at least the first 2 episodes, is that she puts it on and you're like, it fits her so well. And I'm like, well, come on. I'm like, and it doesn't even look like the same aesthetically. It looks like they literally did it for her. And you could see her face, where when we saw Clint wearing it in Endgame, you couldn't see his face. It was it covered it up for his identity to be kept a secret. Because when they show, Kate with it, you could see her eyes and like the top of her nose, and you're like, anyone could identify that that's her. At least her mother and her friends would be like, hey, is that her? Is that Kate underneath that outfit? Because it looks like you. So it wasn't a good look as far as doing that. But, she basically gets it. And then because some people recognize her, there's these criminals that are looking, or looking for her. And we don't really know a lot about them. At the end of episode 2, we find out that Aqua Fox is at the end of the show. And people, I think, are saying she plays Echo. I don't think the name came up at the end of the show. They were just kind of calling her boss, and we find out that she's there. So we'll find out more when we're on it. So they're looking for her, and no one's really looking for Clint, even though he kind of puts his nose in the middle of these gang looking for Kate. And I'm assuming we'll find out as it goes along. So, but I enjoyed the humor was on point. Say what you want about Hawkeye the character or Clint as a character, but I thought Jeremy Renner and Haley Steinfeld have great chemistry. Now, Haley Steinfeld has had a hell of a freaking year. She's done a whole mess of projects, and the 2 of them, the Hawkeye being the more high profile, but what she did as in voiceover in Arcane, I mean, Jesus, talk about her being all giddy right now with just how solid her work that she's putting out right now, and how much more projects she's about to hit some money some money coming up because she is acting her ass off, and hats off to her. But I love the chemistry between, like I said, Jeremy and Haley, the comedy between them. They don't miss a punch. And I just like how, Jeremy Renner's character, or Clint, he's so like not into the bullshit. He's looking for his suit. He gets it back from Haley, but then some firefighter grabs it and puts it on, and they have like this role playing game in the park. And he wants to get it back, but he needs to they don't let him in. And he could just beat everybody down, get it, and take it, but he's just not trying to lead that life. He's like, I'm done. I don't even want to freaking fight. I just want the outfit back so this girl doesn't get hurt by portraying me, because I did a lot of crazy things under the alias of Ronin. And but just the way he portrays them is like, I don't really want to be here. I don't want to do this. Just give me my freaking suit so I could go. But having them play that and everybody being like, oh, let me kill you. Let me kill you in this role playing. I mean, come on, you're Hawkeye. And you realize how, and then, going back to my other point, they make it a point to know that they're rock stars. Which, again, I understand why people didn't like that part about Falcon. So this show is putting that to rest, saying, no, there should have been, this is how they get treated. This is how they go about in their normal life. They're recognized everywhere, and they can't go anywhere without knowing that, hey, this is Hawkeye and stuff like that. But I don't know. I enjoyed it. I thought it was great. And even and I'll finish it up with this. I'm gonna have a show towards the end of the year as ranking my Disney, these Marvel Disney shows, which ones I think off the bat. And right now, this is a solid number 3. I know there's only 4 of them that come up, which is Wanda, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, Loki, and now this one. But just in the first 2 episodes, I think the way it's acted, the way it's being presented, again, we're slowly building up to something. And I like it. I like the way they're taking their time with it, setting up the universe that, even though it's centered in the universe that we all know, but at least this story, they're setting it off right, where I think other shows kind of try to rush too much, like, hey, look at this action thriller, and it didn't work out so well. It ended up like a dud. It started off hot, but then it got cool real quick. So I'm excited to see where they take this series. I think it's only 6 episodes, so we only have 4 episodes left. I know a lot of people are criticizing that they popped out 2, and I mentioned at the beginning, I thought it was the right move. If you would have had 1 year, everybody would have been bitching and complaining. But since you dropped these 2 and you gave us a little bit of the setup with a little bit of action and the chemistry, we got to see Haley and Jeremy kind of work off of each other, and it works so good. I just think it leaves us wanting more, and I definitely want more. But anyways, those are just my thoughts about episode 1 and 2. I would love to hear your thoughts about episode 1 and 2 down in the comments. So let me know what you guys think. And like always, that's a wrap.